What up, TCK Potters? I'm your host, Sky Guasco, joined always by my man, Lucas Kaser, and you are tuned into the Candlestick Kids Fantasy Football Podcast. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel at the Candlestick Kids, leave a rate and review anywhere you're listening to your podcast, and follow us on IG at fantasyfootball_TCK Pod and on Twitter at TCK_pod. We've got a lot to cover, so let's get into it. What up, TCK Potters? Happy to be back with you with another episode of the Candlestick Kids Fantasy Football Podcast, episode 234. Lucas and I are going to have some fun on this one here. We're just going to dive into a mock draft. We are using the Fantasy Pros Draft Wizard as we usually do. As you can see on the screen here, we've actually chosen to do a draft. We're going to do two different drafts within kind of two different teams within the same draft. How about that? Lucas has chosen the 12th slot. I've chosen the 4th slot. We're going to go through this in two different ways for the tight end drafting. So, Lucas, I'm going to let you explain your strategy in 1 second. My strategy is late round tight end. I'm going into this mock draft knowing that I'm going late round tight end, so I'm not going to pick a tight end until the last maybe last 4 rounds, and I might get 2 of them just to double up on the position depending on how the rest of my team goes. Lucas, A, how are you doing? B, what is your strategy going into this double team mock draft?
Yep, so I haven't got a chance to actually finally do my set in stone strategy for this year. That being said, it is modified 0 RB in case I get a top 4 pick, or I'm going 0 RB. I'll break it down throughout this as to why I'm doing that, or maybe why you might want to do that. So I'm on the 12, I'm on the turn. That'll lead me to probably taking a tight end because I just do that in most leagues anyway. So it's not like I'm changing strategy. We're still hitting the tight end category. So we got both sides of this. So I'm going to go ahead and get started here. If you're watching on YouTube, it's like a private domain, you could say. So the screen kind of bugs out sometimes and sort of buffers just so no one hacks into us. So it is starting here pretty soon, loading up here. So I guess you'll give your analysis when we get to the pick. We have 20 seconds to fill now. So 0 RB, I kind of came to the conclusion this year because outside of the top 4 running backs, I really don't like anyone that is valued at a first or a second round pick. And that was after I decided that I don't even like anyone in the 3rd round as it is. So I'll let you go here since you have 30 seconds.
Yeah, it's okay. So, just right off the bat, I don't have any strategy other than tight end late. We only have 30 seconds to make a pick. CMC, Saquon, and Elliott go. Lucas, would I be crazy to go Alvin Kamara over Michael Thomas here?
No, he's my 104 in terms of my big board, so that's who I'd take.
Boom, doing it. Alvin Kamara, number 4 off the board. I'll talk while you take your next pick here. It obviously smashes through this mock draft here, so we're all the way down to the 12th pick. Lucas, you have 2 on the turn.
Yep, so I'm going to go with the chief stack of Tyreek and Travis Kelce. I thought we'd have a little more time to talk about our picks here. Okay. But basically what it comes down to in 0 RB is you have to build a team of super consistent, super guaranteed points to go ahead and beat the teams with running back, right? Because you're taking shots on running backs late, strategic shots, you could say. So Kelce and Hill, for me, if you listen to yesterday's episode, it's basically like Kelce's role is locked and loaded. I know what I'm getting every week. And Hill, you don't know what you're getting every week, but you know the role he's getting for his team.
Love it. I'm going to go with Nick Chubb here and just double up on 2 stud running backs. In the back of I'm going tight end late. So I did not go with George Kittle, although he was available in the back of the 2nd round. I like that a lot. I'm back on the clock here. I could go through my 3rd running back. CEH seems pretty amazing right there as my 3rd running back, although Mike Evans is still available. DJ Moore as well. I'm going to go with Mike Evans there. I feel pretty good about this team already. Alvin Kamara, Nick Chubb, Mike Evans, and Lucas, you are back on the clock for your 3rd pick as well.
Yep, so I got a double smash here with 2 of my favorite receivers this year so far, Robert Woods and Calvin Ridley. I really wanted Adam Thielen at the pick, but obviously he got taken. So I am just kind of slowing down here a little bit so it doesn't zoom through it. So I'm going to go Calvin Ridley. Obviously, we can't really talk about the picks before and after too much because this kind of zooms through it, but we can recap at the end.
I'm on the clock here. A.J. Brown still available. I'm stoked on that. Let me take a quick look at my roster. Alvin Kamara, Nick Chubb, Mike Evans. My wide receiver 2 is A.J. Brown. I like that a lot. I'm not going tight end. I'm not going quarterback. Other running backs available, RB2s and 3s. I'm going to go with A.J. Brown here for the big upside. I think DJ Chark is probably a better consistency play there, but I think the huge upside there with A.J. Brown I like quite a bit. Back on the clock again, and actually my boy DJ Chark did last to me. I'm going to pick another running back later. Quick scan on the quarterbacks. Dak's still available. Tight end available. I'm going to wait on that, though. I'm going to go with DJ Chark. I like this a lot.
Yeah, and I'm a dummy and forgot to put a flex spot, so we're going to act like one of our bench spots is a flex spot here. Yeah, so now I'm up to pick here. Russ went 2 picks before me. That's probably who I would have taken. There's a couple running backs that I think are all kind of in a similar tier. Oh, man. You know what? Actually, I'm going to go Josh Allen here. I think he's still kind of in that middle tier of I don't want to say streaming. That's kind of early for me, I would say, there. But I'm going to go ahead and do it. Then we come down to the receivers here. Is there any value? Oh, yep. I got to do it. Julian Edelman here, round 6. Also might be too early, but go ahead and get your guys to round out my wide receiver core.
Like it. All right, I'm going to get back on the clock here. I just 3 wide receivers in a row after going 2 running backs to get started here. I am looking at Mark Ingram as my RB3. I like that. Jonathan Taylor. I like that upside as well. Kareem Hunt too. Let's look at the wide receivers one more time. Tyler Boyd. God damn, the wide receiver value was just so ridiculous. I'm going to do that and then go J.K. Dobbins. Let's do that. If it didn't time me out, Tyler Boyd, bam. My 4th receiver, Tyler Boyd. I like that a lot. And I think I got to Mark Ingram's still available here. I'm going to maybe do that stack. Or let's see, we're in the 1, 2, 3, 4, 7th round. I think I'm going to – how do you like that stack of Kareem Hunt really quick?
I like it personally. I mean, I think you could start both guys this year pretty
I'm going to go with Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt just to protect that incredible backfield there for Cleveland. So you're up for 2 more, man.
Yep. So I'm going to go James White here. My favorite 0 RB candidate. Not even a 0 RB candidate. He's just a good football player, good fantasy player as it is. I would give, I guess, advice in terms, but we'll let it roll here. So I don't know. Ronald Jones is looking me down. I'm going to end up going Mostert. I'm not a big guy in drafting him in terms of normal value, but I think in terms of if I'm going 0 RB, I don't have to rely on his point per game production, so I don't mind that pick.
Yep. So I've got 2 more bench positions, a tight end and a quarterback. I do need to get some tight ends here. I'm going to look at quarterback, Wentz. I'm going to wait on all those guys. Let's take a look at tight ends right now. Tyler Higbee still available. 1, 2, 3, 4, 8th round. I don't like that so much. I'm going to go with I'll go with it. Tyler Higbee. He'll be my first late round. Well, it's not even late round. It's just kind of mid round because we're only doing 12 on the mock. But I'm going to wait and pick up another late round stud. How my quarterback's doing. Carson Wentz, running backs. Let's see. You wanted Ronald Jones? I might go Ronald Jones here. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to do that. I'm going to go with Ronald Jones.
All right.
Boom, to round out that team. Ooh. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 running backs and 5 receivers. I feel really good about this team.
And J.K. Dobbins staring me down. That's a smash.
Get him.
I don't know if the ADPs are exactly correct on Fantasy Pros per se. So don't take it super to heart. I would guess if you're like, wow, your team's pretty good. So yeah. So now I think I'm going to go Alexander Madison. Dalvin Cook is coming back, but like I said, you guys know how I feel about Dalvin Cook and never finishing a full season. So that's a good pick for me there, my RB4.
Like it. And I have a quarterback and a tight end to grab still. Looking at these later round tight ends, I pass on Wentz every single time. I'm looking at Matt Stafford here. I feel good about that. I'm going to grab Stafford. And for my last pick, my second tight end to go with a later move, I think I'm actually going to reach a little bit here. So it's saying Mike Gesicki, which I like quite a bit. We talked about Mike Gesicki yesterday on not being very excited. TJ Hawkinson, I still need to see it more. I don't have Zach Ertz, so I'm going to pass on Dallas Goedert. I'm looking at Jonnu Smith, man, here as my second tight end with that upside there. I'm going to smash Jonnu Smith as my second tight end.
Yep. I'm going to end it off here going Big Ben. So I have the Josh Allen Big Ben stack. So that is our version of the speed mock draft. We will now we'll actually go ahead and break this down. This goes pretty fast. I did not think it went this fast. So yeah.
Well, so I can just well, what was your grade? Let's do that real
C
quick.
plus, and that would probably be due to the fact that I didn't put in a flex spot, so I took a bench before I took a running back. Um,
So okay, so what was your overall number? Because I can share mine, and it
a
was a
seven,
little bit better than a C plus.
a 78.
78. I got a 96 out of 100 here.
Oof.
So clearly doing the art, doing the later round tight end strategy according to ECR versus going tight end early is a strategy that ECR, the expert consensus ranking, prefers here. Let me run through my team, and then Lucas, you run through your team really quick here. So I had Matt Stafford, Alvin Kamara, Nick Chubb, Mike Evans, AJ Brown, Tyler Higbee, and then our bench, DJ Chark, Tyler Boyd, Kareem Hunt, Ronald Jones, and Jonnu Smith. I love this team, frankly. Matt Stafford could be a top 6 quarterback, should be a quarterback 1 for sure. Alvin Kamara and Nick Chubb could each be top 5 running backs. Mike Evans and AJ Brown could be top 12 to 15 receivers as well. If they click, they could be even higher than that. Tyler Higbee, great upside, a little risky, so I went with the second tight end and Jonnu Smith with the great upside. DJ Chark, Tyler Boyd could be the alpha ones by the end of the season on their own team. And then Kareem Hunt got that handcuff for Nick Chubb, but also in his own right, a pass catch and reception master there. And then Ronald Jones, who is running hills very impressively so far. He looks great on film. So I'm going to just believe that Bruce Arians is going to give the veteran a second chance there with Tom Brady's offense, like Ronald Jones. Pretty beastly team, man. 96 out of 100. Lucas, break down your team as well.
Yeah, so my grade is bad, but add in a flex spot. So I have Josh Allen, Raheem Mostert, James White, Tyreek Hill, Robert Woods, Kelsey, and Calvin Ridley as my starters with Edelman, Dobbins, Big Ben, and Madison. So I guess I can break it down, but I think this is a good time to interject with the why 0 RB because I haven't got to give the reasoning why. So people might, if you don't even care to like go 0 RB, don't bother to listen. Maybe give it a little bit of listen because I've grown to it. So there's obviously multiple reasons, but really what it comes down to is for me is when I play fantasy, I like to eliminate risk, right? Everyone, I know I've been big on like people throwing out, I hate David Montgomery because bad volume. I'd rather take insert later guy because more upside. And that, when people say that, I get really, really, really mad because what is upside, right? That's one thing that I know I've mentioned. I'm trying to piece something together, and it's really tough to actually like physically lump something together to make sense in terms of reading it. So the best way I can describe it is I'm eliminating risk by not taking chances on the non-solidified running backs. When it comes down to in-season form, if you don't have your top-tier running backs, you have to scramble, right? If you're not locked in with your 2 starters, you're always plugging and playing guys, doing this, doing that. But what happens when you're out of receivers? I mean, I can ask, but it's – when you're projecting a running back, say Alvin Kamara were to get hurt. Latavius Murray was the RB1 back-to-back weeks. Say Michael Thomas were to get hurt. I know I'm not projecting Emmanuel Sanders to be the wide receiver 1 on the week or whatever, a top 12 wide receiver week in and week out. It's just not possible. It's harder to project wide receiver production outside of the top guys, right? That's why we see Julio every year. If Julio scores touchdown, he'd be the wide receiver 1 very easily. Okay, but he doesn't. He gets what he gets. That's it. Devontae Adams gets what he gets when he's healthy. That's it. Michael Thomas gets what he gets when he's healthy. That's it. Tyreek Hill would be the wide receiver 1 if he could hit and maybe more consistent, but he's not. He's Tyreek Hill. That being said, these are easy to value in drafts. And outside of McCaffrey, Barkley, Zeke, and Kamara, there's a big mix-up with how you're breaking down these other running backs. There's Dalvin Cook, injury. Derrick Henry, can he do it for a full season? Eckler, can he actually do it? Joe Mixon, is he like this big question mark in general? So these running backs all have their question marks, and to me, that's just an instant fade. I know I broke it down on the tight end strategy video that I'm going the top 2 or I'm not taking any because the top 2 don't have question marks. The bottom guys have question marks, but they're easier to overcome per se than the middle tier. So really, the 0 RB to me eliminates really all risk. It only generates, I don't want to say upside. It only generates positive outcomes because your floor is what you're drafting. You're drafting 4 receivers, a quarterback, and a tight end that you know what you're getting. You're taking chances on running backs. You're never in between in terms of, I don't know, let's just say 6th place and 1st or 2nd. You're never sitting in that 3rd to 4th range because, I don't know, maybe Joe Mixon only got 3 catches instead of the 6 that he was averaging on the year. You don't have that issue with Michael Thomas, Julio, Devontae Adams. So when it comes down to it, the main factors are eliminating risk, easier to project what your team's going to do, and the confidence in yourself that you can predict later round running backs. And I feel like I can do a pretty good job of who to evaluate. For example, James White, Alexander Madison. J.K. Dobbins will not be the case because I think Mark Ingram might actually be the case, or Marlon Mack I think is a good one. Kerryon Johnson is a good one. These guys that are the starting running backs for their teams are being drafted lower because everyone's over-projecting running backs. Like I said, I was all about the RBs before the offseason started because guys like Miles Sanders is going like the 107, a guy that might have cracked middle round 2 because people are realizing they're like, oh my gosh, I have to get running backs. More reason just to fade. So that being said, top 4 pick, modified 0 RB. And what that really means is take the running back. Tight end is optimal, I think, or Julio, Devontae Adams. I think a receiver, tight end mixed in there, whatever. Then just running backs all the way down, guys with upside. Zach Moss, Boston Scott, Chase Edmonds, Madison, Matt Breida, Jordan Howard's he's a 0 RB candidate. That's like consistent points. James White. So buy in with me if you want. We'll see how it goes. I will. I guess I'll be a walking example in the listener league.
I love it, dude. I love it. And stand your ground. And it's so funny you bring this up because just a couple of weeks ago, we were like, you all know that Lucas is mandatory 3 running backs early and all this shit. And just a couple of weeks later, you're like, I'm going 0 RB. And here's why. Dude, this is exactly why we do this shit. This is exactly why we do this, because you take this shit very seriously, as do I in our podcast and stuff. But we are not afraid to say, this is where I feel today. Tomorrow, I could get a nugget of information, another mock draft, another something else, and be like, whoa, like all the running backs are going in the first 2 rounds. That's stupid. So I'm just going to zig where everyone else is zagging, and I'm going to go ahead and grab crazy values. I'm with you, bro. Now, again, as you mentioned, you can get some of those middle tier to late round guys with running backs. It's risky. You got to put a lot of research into who you want. But at the same time, you could definitely come away with it, man, and make it happen. So this 0 RB approach that you just had, the 78 out of 100, doesn't look sexy on ECR because the expert consensus ranking on Fantasy Pros has the running backs up high because that's how it is, and you didn't take one until late, so you got fucked on the overall grade. I took 2 stud running backs, and Alvin Kamara and Nick Chubb, and then I took 4 starting wide receivers, and my team looks nuts, and it's a 96 out of 100, right? So there's different approaches. Mine looks better on paper, but again, I'm not necessarily against 0 RB. You just have to make sure that you're putting in the research to do it appropriately. I love that you're going to kind of put your flag in the ground, bro, because we need to do that. And so in the listener league, maybe you take that approach. Maybe I'll take a different approach, and we'll see what happens at the end of the season. But I love it, man. So just a 78 out of 100 for you, 96 out of 100 for myself. Different strategies. Obviously, the ECR loves more than the other. But, Lucas, how do you feel about your team overall in general? Grade aside, how do you feel about your team?
Yeah, I mean, I like it. I think I'm not a huge fan of Tyreek in terms of, like, the last tier of one, you could say. I think, like, the optimal start to me is MT, Adams, Julio with Kelsey. That interchanges from where you're at. I mean, I think an MT Julio stack is very, very doable. Julio Adams stack are very nice. So Hill will probably be the only one I'm like, but I think, like I said, I have my guaranteed points of Woods, Kelsey, Ridley, even James White that I can do with Tyreek Hill's variants, you could say.
Awesome. I dig it, man. Well, that wraps up a collaborative effort on a mock draft. Obviously, those happen very quickly, as you can see. So, get this Draft Wizard, man. They have a great app. They are not a sponsor. They have a great app. They have a great online computer version that you're able to do. Lucas and I were jumped in the same draft with 2 separate teams. Great to do with your friends and your buddies, and you can do it really quickly. So I love these draft strategies and analyzers as well. So Excellent, man. Well done. Let's get out of here and get into another mock draft tomorrow. I'm going to invite my good brother, Nick Ercolano, I think I was going to say, who shouts out to Nick Ercolano and the BDGE family, of course. But Chris Benavides of the Commish Fantasy Football Podcast is going to jump on tomorrow. We'll have to get Nick back on again real soon. But Chris is going to jump on tomorrow to jump onto another mock draft. He and I are going to mock draft one team together, and we're going to do that in the tight end premium mindset, so you can see how that drafts out. So Chris will jump on for episode 235. This was episode 234. Lucas, always a pleasure, man. I appreciate you jumping on back on for these next couple episodes. And as we mentioned before we get out of here today, we have a huge announcement on Monday for the TCK pod and us going forward as a brand, as a podcast, as a YouTube channel, what we're going to be able to do. We're still fine-tuning things, so we'll drop it on Monday, but we have a big announcement on Monday, so stay tuned for that. We are also going to be starting to drop some information on the TTK Pod Listener League. I know a lot of you are jonesing on that. We'll get some more information, so hold steady. I appreciate all the support. Go ahead and get yourself a draft guide if you do not have one yet. Just $5 for the in-season kit, $5 for the preseason kit, and $15 for both of those, plus some one-on-one coaching from Lucas, myself, and some others. You can subscribe right here on the YouTube channel. Leave us a comment on this mock draft and how you feel about each team. You can also find us anywhere podcasts are listed. Leave a rate and review. Find us on Instagram at fantasyfootball_TCK pod and on Twitter at TCK _pod. And you can find our draft guide and more at tckpod.com. This is episode 234 of the Candlestick Kids Fantasy Football Podcast. For Lucas Kaser, I'm Sky Guasco, and we are out of here.